I was a computer programmer for 30 years. During that time I developed a deep fascination for the myriad programming languages, but I also acquired an aesthetic sense of how computer code can look on the page. There's a whole world of coder poems out there, perhaps largely unknown, certainly to mainstream poets. We programmers overcome the massively reduced vocabulary within any given language by making use of the free will we're allowed with variable and function names. My first poem in code was a list of instructions for human existence, contained wholly within a construct called a while loop. It was called "While not end of life, do." Here's a poem called Addiction, written in a language called C by Oishi Banerjee. So when Tom told me his painting used the iBrushes app on the iPad and that he downloaded the whole Mondrian colour palette via the Christie's app, then we were already leaning towards silicon-based poetry. And I thought it was high time that the world got to see what computer programming code looks like. CodingMondrian is written in a sort of pseudocode based around a language called C#. It's constructed as a list of commands so that a computer could replicate Tom's painting. However, I've taken the liberty of randomization. What I mean is that if you push the button to run the program 1,000,000 times, you might just get one which looks like the painting Tom did. I'll walk you through it. Okay, these first few lines are needed for the program to work, and this one is the start. First we set up instances of the shapes that are going to appear, a box, an array which is a collection of objects, in our case coloured lines, and a circle. These all take shape later. Now we fill the otherwise black background with a named colour. These next three lines assign properties to our box: a colour, black, a random width and height, and a random position, all wholly within the screen dimensions. Now we start on a loop which is controlled by the value of x, which we initialise to 0. While x is less than 5, do all of the lines within the squiggly brackets. So, our first painted line is numbered 0. Give it a random length and width, a random colour from our Mondrian palette, and position it anywhere within the coordinates of the screen. Okay, now add 1 to the value of x. Go back to the start of our loop. X is now 1, which is still less than 5, so we perform all those last lines again, only this time for the next of our painted lines. Keep drawing the lines and adding 1 to x. Soon enough, x will be equal to 5 and fall foul of our while condition. Jump to the first line after the squiggly bracket. Finally, assign a random radius, colour and start position to the circle object. And there, a computer-drawn Mondrian-esque painting. Lovely, isn't it? Now run the program again, and you get this, or this, or this. None of these have quite the human artist's eye, and it shows. Better to stick with the one that Tom made.
I want to tell you the story of this picture because Martin, the poet, has told it from his point of view quite reasonably, but I will show you the genesis. This is my second effort in this direction. I call it Opus 2. What about Opus 1? Well, I was working on the iPad, and the iPad I realised was brilliant for a Mondrian-esque type painting. And on the internet, which is the normal way I pursue my art, I discovered a New York artist who admitted he was doing Mondrian-esque type work and produced a blue picture which I loved. It was actually circular. So I transposed that onto the iPad using straight lines and just one simple circle, very much like this. Coming from the printer in Hereford, he showed me an acrylic block that you can put photographs on the back. And again I thought, that's very clean, that would suit Mondrian. So I had him print the picture I made on my iPad, I emailed it to him and printed on this block. I sold that block, so I was quite pleased it worked. But then one evening, I suddenly placed it against the television set, black, brilliant. It made a beautiful frame. This Opus 2 is my attempt to say it wasn't a fluke, I could do it again. This time I chose a different palette. I copied this palette from a picture in pastel that I saw in Pall Mall in London. It won a prize. And the palette of that picture was really what you see here, the wood and the red and the black. And so I worked this, you can see the wood colour there. I worked this into a block just the same. And then I inserted it into this acrylic. The acrylic is cut specially so that it fits in. And then I created the picture in that way. And it worked very well, I think. Thank you.